What's good, everyone, and welcome to the Combat Report. Episode 36 is live here on Combat Championship Series. It's BG and Stu from the CCS crew taking you through all the news of the week, starting, of course, with what happened at Summer Games Fest. But BG, I know you've got... What was it that you were trying to throw some nonsense in my face? I don't know what it is that you're doing. I know that you've been screaming into a pillow about while watching the NBA Finals, but like, what's going on? What are you doing?
Oh no, nothing's going on with me. But I just want to give a shout out, well wishes out there to the one and only Maximilian, who had a nosebleed during the gigantic announcement of Marvel Tokon fighting Souls. And I hope you're doing better than he is, because he had to stop his stream, and that's one of the most fighter gaming things I've ever seen in my life. So yeah,
Okay.
just wanted to give you that information if you didn't know, Stu.
No, absolutely. No, we're sending our thoughts and prayers to Maximilian, dude.
Yes,
Absolutely. Shine on, my friend.
shine on.
Once you've recovered. But yeah, no, that's a perfect way to kick things off, because my reaction was about the same to Marvel Tokon fighting Souls. Marvel tagging in Arxis for their next game. And this is actually insane to think about, BG, because we so thoroughly associate Marvel games like Marvel versus Capcom is the first thing off of our lips. We're going to think about, what teams are we going to build? Are we going to be taken for a ride, and who is going to do it? It's one of those deals that it's not even computing in my brain yet. And when I saw that live, my reaction was about the same as Maximilian's, because I was actually just mind blown.
Yeah, me too. This was something that I don't think nobody saw. Shout out to Arxis AMR for keeping this as tight locked as Fort Knox.
Oh my gosh.
Whoever thought there would be a 4v4 game, and especially with Arxis and Marvel hooking up? This is an atomic bomb. I just don't know what to say, but I am ready. This was arguably the best trailer I've seen in modern fighting game history, announcement wise.
It's up there.
I just don't know what this took to make it happen. I know that Marvel did go to Arxis to make this happen, and Arxis seems to be fully ready to do this, and I just cannot wait. The possibilities of this game are basically limitless if you know the Marvel roster.
Oh, absolutely. And thinking about how good the last effort was when crossing over with with something that wasn't necessarily theirs and making a whole entire game out of it in Dragon Ball Fighters, you know what Arxis is capable of, and that was a 3v3. Like, and
Right.
that was like, okay, well, this is obviously a big game. The games are going to go on for a little long, and that's fine. Like, Dragon Ball Fighters, if you look back at those games, they're still hype. They're insane to watch now. We look back at some of those sets as being classics. I mean, the finals from like 2018, 2019, etc. Like, these are the games that kind of make you want to like rediscover a love for fighting games if you've fallen off, or even just to go back to that game. And I kind of wonder if Tokon Fighting Souls is going to have that longevity. But before we get to that point, we start out at step one. And what a step one it was. Does Arxis know how to reveal a game or what? Because this is exactly the sort of shot across the bow that did so much damage to Capcom in the first place.
Totally agree. It was. They are trying to take Capcom's block. This is strictly what they are doing. I mean, like I said,
Dude.
this announcement was a 10 out of 10. If you see it's any less than that, I don't know what you were watching, because this everything about this, from the announcement, the characters, they already announced more characters than 2SKO. I know we'll get into that later,
Yeah.
but the characters, the way it looked, the camera angles, everything.
Yeah.
And then they did an extended release. A
Which is-
9 minute. I don't know if you saw that, Steve. It was
I-
over a 9 minute release. A lot of people didn't see the extended release.
Are we about to just do a live reaction? Because I actually did not see that.
Oh,
Okay.
oh my goodness! It was great to see.
This
I'm
it's
sorry,
gonna have
I'm
to
not trying
happen.
to
We're gonna
cut
have
you
to do a
off.
live reaction now. Like,
It was really good. It was just really good to see
yeah.
the developers, the directors, all be on the same page. Tell how it came together. And like I said, they gave characters out. They gave it coming out in 2026. Fingers crossed. We know
Yes.
FGC release dates go, but I do expect this to be a blockbuster game, getting Street Fighter 6 type numbers on release.
In all fairness, it's not just an FPS exclusive problem; it's a AAA games problem at this point.
Yeah,
But yeah, because delays are just it happens. It's a game studio. Hopefully, as long as those developers aren't having to go through crunch, that's what I care about. Respect your devs, people. But I do kind of wonder. I mean, because you're talking about, oh, this is them taking their block. No. Dragon Ball Fighters, they were taking their lunch money. Now that you doing something with Capcom, not with Capcom, not with Marvel. Now you're straight up eating the food off their tray.
oh, absolutely.
This is a statement of intent. Not even a statement of intent. This is borderline disrespectful what Arxis is doing, and I'm kind of here for it because it looks so clean, and it looks like everything that we've been missing. And for whatever reason, it just seems like Arxis has it dialed in on what the people want, and it's not even just like a Japan only versus America, thing. Like, no, they're creating something for everybody, and I haven't seen a single person from a single region that has had anything negative to say on this. Like, we're all on the hype train, and that is a very rare thing in the fighting game space.
Yeah, it is. It is, and they somehow did it. Every character looked crisp. I mean, we got Storm, we got Iron Man, we got Captain America,
The
we got
Spider-Man
my guy
stuff
Ghost
looks
Rider.
nuts,
Yes.
dude.
I mean, like I said, the character roster. Please, everybody, go to Marvel's website and see how many characters they could have in this game. We haven't even seen guys like Wolverine. We haven't seen Silver Surfer, Iceman,
True.
Venom, Carnage. I could go on and on. I mean, I'm here for it. Take my money. Free 99, 199. I don't care. This game looks great. And then another thing a lot of people have not noticed, because I didn't notice at first, they give you the option of controlling one character and having 3 assists, or you can play all 4 characters at once, which perfect. Perfect option to have.
Well, I mean, how are we even gonna do that? Because you can already get Happy Birthday, then you can get Merry Christmas. I mean, are we just gonna have a full blown like four player combo? Like we're getting the bar mitzvah going? Like what's going on?
Hey, that's what it's looking like, and I know it's one life bar, so that's gonna be interesting to see.
I mean, to life, L'chaim, I suppose, but But we are going to. I do genuinely wonder about that because we were talking about the mechanics of the game, and this is one thing that does give me a little bit of trepidation. BG, the 4v4. Now, again, I love the concept of 3v3. It works out, but there's no denying that those games can go a little long. 4v4 can turn into a slog unless it's like a touch of death game, which already comes with its own problems. This is Arxis walking a very, very fine line. And I do think, like, if anyone can do it, it's Arxis. So it's not even, like, a doubt that it can work out. But there are questions that need to be asked. I mean, is this the sort of thing that you can see having long-term success?
Yeah, I can see it having success because of the franchise they're doing it with, which is Marvel. They need at least 30 characters on release, which I'm pretty sure they're already going to have because of it being a 4v4, where it's not repetitive. It's not just the same characters. Each character needs to be dynamic, have their own mechanics. It seemed from the release trailer that's going to be the case. I'm not worried about having long-term success because Marvel is a franchise unlike any other. And if they have crossover with Arxis characters, then they will be successful, which I do think is a possibility.
And this, I suppose you can get through some things just based on the strength of the IP, right? But there are some things that are insurmountable, and we have seen this with Marvel games. And I understand that this is a whole different developer or whatever, but MVCI, people just could not get over the art design. They could not get over the honestly, the initial...
Also, the X-Men.
The lack of X-Men, that's whatever. That's been a thing that's been plaguing Marvel. For years up to that point. That has since been resolved. Mazel tov to them. But I do kind of wonder, just because, and yeah, obviously the other things that led up to that point. I think we all kind of remember Chun-Li's weird kind of like porcelain doll face. But they're not having that problem with Tokon Fighting Souls, but it's also one of those deals where it did cover up the problems, or excuse me, it overshadowed the good parts of what turned out to be a genuinely good game. Like MVCI plays great, but is the IP enough to carry something, and why wasn't it enough to carry that something when it was MVCI?
Well, I mean, graphics are everything now because we are a very visually based society now. Graphics are just premium and must be on point. And when VCI came out, like I said, the gameplay was good. I do agree with you on that. But, we over dissect now, just not just in fighting games and gaming, but just overall. So I just think that that was something that really hurt that game. And the also high level of expectations, almost unrealistic expectations hurt MVCI. And also remember what was coming out right after MVCI at that time was Dragon Ball Fighters. And once Dragon Ball Fighters
It,
came
it
out, it
becomes a this
was
or that kind
church.
of thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yes, comparing is always going to be a thing, and that's something that as a developer you have to just know is going to be coming your way.
Hmm.
So
So
with
4v4
the
works because there's nothing to which you can compare it.
yeah, there is nothing, but also it is Marvel. And like they said in the extended trailer, the developer said, if you're doing something with Marvel, either do it exceptionally well or not at all. And
Mm.
that is the thing. You cannot do nothing with Marvel that is not exceptional. Cannot be halfway done. Cannot be just all right. It has to blow your mind. And I think they did that with their first release trailer. Nobody saw that coming. There were no leaks. It's just something that I think everybody's on board, and that is exactly what you need if you're going to do a game like Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls. I really do think that they're going to nail this because we as a community we're overly harsh, overly critical, and like you said, I literally have
We
not
have
heard
discerning eyes, yeah.
anybody criticizing this game so far.
Yeah, and it's very hard to do that. And I will say, I mean, you're talking about doing stuff excellently. Arxis has been consistently excellent for, I want to say, the past 15, 20 years now. So, I mean, very seldom have they missed on a property. So, I will say that. But I also, you got to give Capcom credit. They've been doing much the same in terms of Street Fighter Six's development and how that has been going. And I do think maybe they've learned some lessons and they took some things to heart with how they went about the release of some of their past couple games, because Street Fighter 6 has been on a roll, and almost as if to drive that point home, the reveal of the roster for year 3 featuring none other than the cleaner Kenny Omega. Shout out to you, Kenny. You got Sea Viper, Alex, Ingrid, and of course the Tiger coming back, Sagat. This is what the people were asking for. Capcom keeping their ear to the ground and listening. So they're giving us Sagat, but also maybe a few people that maybe you would not have necessarily expected. And I'm kind of wondering what your take is on all of it, because it feels like there's a lot of takeaways. Like, you're getting Sagat, you're getting exactly what you heathens asked for, but also, where are these other guys coming from? And that's kind of, maybe people are feeling a little mixed about that.
Yeah, count me in. I am mixed about that. But let's first give our congrats to Capcom for bringing the king back. So, God, thank you. Finally, it took too damn long, but
Hey, you know
they
what?
got him back.
We got him.
And he's coming out this summer. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We need him back. That's the character we need. But we got to talk about this. Ingrid, who wants Ingrid? Still, you're an Eagles fan. Are you also an Ingrid fan? That's something that maybe you would like.
I
I'm really upset about this Ingrid. We got Ingrid before we got Dudley, Balrog, Sakura. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm going on a tangent here. I don't get
Sure.
Ingrid. Street Fighter 3 Alpha character, does little things, little schoolgirl. I don't know. That character right there, that makes me hot. I'm sorry.
I get it, and I
Don't
personally
get it.
I will say that I have a soft spot, but only because my
I
dog's
knew it.
no
I
my
knew it.
no because my dog's name is Ingrid. That's
Oh,
literally
okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
yeah. Like,
That
like
makes
I'm
sense.
just gonna say, like, if they add a character named Bogey in next, I will be a big fan of that too. But I very very heavily contemplated renaming my dog Hugo, but that's because I'm a grappler. Uh,
Oh, so
that's
you
not
love Alex, I'm guessing.
yeah, that's neither here nor there. I'm not against Alex. I do think that
Okay.
Alex got a little bit of a hard time just off of being the face of a franchise that just wasn't ready to have a new face yet. The whole Street Fighter 3 thing. Honestly, if you haven't watched the episode of the Street Fighter 3 episode of What Happened by Matt McMuscles, highly recommended. It goes into the development history of that whole thing and how Alex was supposed to be the new main face of a
Mm.
franchise, which they've been trying to do with this franchise for some reason, because Ken and Ryu apparently just aren't marketable enough. No, you got to throw in Luke's and
Yeah.
Alex's and whatever. I don't know, but I will say, even though they're weird, I do think that Capcom. This is going to sound so strange coming from Mr. Cynicism here. I do think Capcom has earned the benefit of the doubt here, because if you take into account the game's mechanics, it's like Alex can be a Zangief, but maybe just a quicker one that maybe doesn't do as much damage with the grabs, but can mix in buttons just a little bit more. And I mean, Drive Rush with Alex is going to be so ignorant. I
Yeah.
genuinely shudder to think how that's going to happen. Sea Viper, I can't really give you an in-depth, analysis of Sea Viper, nor can I really do that for Ingrid, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I do genuinely wonder how this could work out in terms of the gameplay. Obviously, Sagat, people are going to be happy about Sagat, but then they're going to see how this character works with Drive Rush, with Drive Impact, how parrying is going to work with this guy. Like, I am kind of curious to see if it works with Sagat. Surely it can work with the other three. That's my stance on it. Like, they picked these people for a reason, and it wasn't because these guys are going to move copies of the game. It has to be for gameplay, right? Surely.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. Sea Viper, I know that's a fan favorite in the FGC. Not me. Like I said, this season for me is all about Sagat. Yeah, Alex. Like I said, Ingrid. I just don't know. I don't know if the Ingrid's family, slice some money on the table to Capcom or something. But yeah, that's just not hitting at all for me.
You can't ever
But
count it
hey,
out. Yeah.
you know, only people that like it are basically Ingrid's family and Stu's dog. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've got.
Yeah, and you can't really say, and she won't say anything about that if you asked her.
Oh,
Primarily,
okay. So,
primarily because she's deaf. But
oh, well,
yeah,
oh,
no, it's
all
a
right. Well,
hey,
the more
having
you
a
know.
deaf dog is an experience. Let me tell you, folks. But
Mm,
we can also talk a little bit about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection being announced this week. Honestly, it looks really cool. Like, you have all the obviously, the first four games or whatever, and you have Mortal Kombat Advance, which I'm sure somebody asked for, but I never talked to them. And the Game Boy version of Mortal Kombat. It's kind
yeah,
of,
Game Boy Advance version, by the way.
yeah, Mortal Kombat Advance, which is,
Yeah.
I did have a copy of that growing up. It
Mm,
wasn't great, but
no, okay.
I think given a little bit of time and space, yeah, I've come to appreciate it, because it's like it's one of those weird things that you are able to play this thing that you're probably not really supposed to be able to play it on, and that is actually going to be the subject of my quick hit. But I'll get to that later on. What are you thinking about the Legacy Collection, man? Because the fact that we have rollback netcode for Mortal Kombat Advance just seems very silly, and I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah. Hey, more the merrier. We're in a time period where we are getting all the old games remastered, getting upgrades like rollback netcode. I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat 1 through 4. Uh, I'm here for it. All the old classics that I grew up with. I'm glad to see them, like I said, getting remastered, and the collection I think is going to be fun. It will give a lot of younger gamers that weren't around when these games came out a chance to play them, and
Yeah,
I think that also they said they're going to have over 20 games total in the collection when it's finally done. So
which is
yeah, there's
wild,
more on
right?
the way, which is just crazy. So yeah, I mean, kudos to NetherRealm for pulling this off and making this happen. And yeah, more the merrier. Hey, the FGC cannot complain right now. We are getting Christmas in June.
And the fact that we're getting Mortal Kombat's, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, so
Huh?
it's Mortal Kombat's 1, 2, 3, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and 4, Mortal Kombat Advance, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Like, let's go,
Yeah,
man. And as well as Tournament Edition. So I'm perfectly fine with that, and that's I I genuinely think, because people kind of forgot the impact that Mortal Kombat had, not just
oh
on
no, I have not. Woo!
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about the younger generation. We're kind
Oh,
of
okay.
old heads,
All right.
you know.
All
But
right.
like, people
Yeah.
do not realize just how big of an impact Mortal Kombat had on the world. Like, we're not even just talking about, you know, like this is something where like Mortal Kombat was such a violent game for the time that governments got involved. like,
That's right.
like legitimately, countries have banned these games. Japan, I'm pretty sure Mortal Kombat's still banned,
Yep.
and you
Don't play
have
on your Game Boy. You go over there now, Stu.
yeah, dude, Joe Lieberman like saw this game and realized that games needed a rating system. That Mortal Kombat's the reason we have the ESRB. Like legitimately it changed the landscape of American politics. So the fact that you have like if any fighting game deserved a legacy collection, you can make this argument, but I don't really know if a game has shaped the world that we live in the way that Mortal Kombat has.
No, it hasn't. This game, when it came out, it surely shifted the culture. It is the word fatality was not really in use before this game came out like it is now,
Yeah.
and yeah,
I have
it
a
was.
shirt that says fatality on the back of it right now. And it's because of Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, this was a supreme competitor of Street Fighter when it came out, and was more popular than Street Fighter, if you could believe that. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, like you said, this game was a force, still is a force. But yeah, this really hits me in a special place. Thinking back to Mortal Kombat at 1 and 2 back in the day in the arcades, and just doing the fatalities was something that has never had the same kind of phenomenon like it has in fighting games and video games overall.
And it does kind of come at a strange time, right? After the release of Mortal Kombat 1's Definitive Edition, realizing
Yes.
that this is going to be the end of the line for MK1, and maybe it didn't last as long as perhaps the developers would have liked. Certainly not as long as Warner Brothers would have liked, but there are a lot of things going on at Warner Brothers that I think could throw a few video game franchises into question. I mean, most notably, David Zaslav had his like $54 million like pay package voted against by the board in a rebuke that does not happen all the time in the corporate world. But that's like at the very top. You have like that's like the fight between the elder gods. Meanwhile, like Mortal Kombat's kind of just the Shaolin student that's trying to, stay humble and stay in his lane in the real world. And it sucks to hear Mortal Kombat talked about like that, but that is the state of modern media where you are owned by, and it comes with its perks. Like you get to have like RoboCop and T1000 in your game, and that's all well and good. But it does come with the price that maybe you're not giving the fans entirely what you want. It feels like the Legacy Collection is a return to form in that regard, at least to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, this was basically going back to its roots. And yeah, all the politics now being owned by big businesses, video games are a lot more mainstream than they used to be. And yeah, it is going back to the basics. And like I said, I'm glad to see these old classes get updated to 2025 standards with robot net code and online
With
play
online
features.
play, like that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
No,
no,
it is. I would actually love to see at Evo or other, big tournaments, maybe a Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 tournament, as a side bracket or whatever, which may happen now. To
yeah.
just see those games, come back and everything, because I know at Evo almost every fighting game known to mankind is played.
Exactly. And I mean, if you have an audience for it, it's going to happen. I mean, we have people. This is the fighting game community we're talking about. We're talking about a group of people who have played grand finals of a tournament in a truck bed or like in a bathroom. Shout outs to Melty
Hmm.
Blood because I will always shout that out because that's just funny to me. But yeah, no, like Mortal Kombat is going to live, which if you know the game's content is very very ironic. But speaking of things that are alive, we are going to talk a little bit about the Summer Games Fest, and obviously there are a couple of things that got announced: Resident Evil for the horror game fans, and just a whole bunch of new titles, a lot of independent titles. I did like to focus on independent stuff, but in terms of fighting games, it was more, I think, notable for the for some of the absences that were there. Obviously, we got Tokon Fighting Souls, but no updates on Virtual Fighter 5 Revo, and I'm kind of wondering what you make of that.
Yeah, I think that they announced things around Combo Breaker for that game. Basically, I was more interested in no announcement for Virtual Fighter 6. I thought they would do some at Summer's Game Fest, but obviously they are going to wait probably until Evo for an announcement for that game or update on that game. But yeah, I really wish there was an announcement for Virtual Fighter, 5 Revo or 6, because yeah, the few announcements we've had so far have been fantastic. I do think the FGC needs to participate a little bit more in Summer Games Fest because it is watched by the masses. It is now taking place of E3 and is now the thing that most people do look forward to. So yeah, I was disappointed that there was no announcement for Virtual Fighter.
Yeah, it is. It is strange. I would have liked to see something more for VF6. I mean, Revo, you were talking about that. Maybe the timing's a little off because of the combo breaker thing. I am kind of curious to see where Virtual Fighter is at. But the point that you brought up to me before the show, BG, that stuck out to me is 2XKO, and we have not heard a whole lot. It seems like the information kind of comes out in very small bursts with Riot when it comes to this game. And I am, and maybe there's some strategy to this. I wouldn't necessarily put it past them. I mean, they have a very successful franchise in League of Legends, and they have the Wild Rift stuff. They're launching a TCG. But I kind of wonder if 2XKO is being pushed to the wayside. And I mean, not in it is in danger of maybe getting left out in the fighting game space. I was wondering, BG, what do you see for the future of 2XKO? Like, what are we getting here actually, and what is Riot really doing with this property?
Yeah, I am a little bit concerned because we've had very sporadic updates, and after the last one, I think was March, they said they would not be appearing again until Evo, which is in August. I really, after the announcement of Token Souls, or Token Fighting Souls, they need to really come with it if they're only going to have 10 characters, I believe they said, on release. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's a free game, and it will be an online service, but they need to really have updates for this because they have really seemed to had a lot of criticism since the announcement of Marvel Token Fighting Souls, because they have said that they're not going to have as many characters and all of that. They really need to bring it because just being free is not enough, unfortunately.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm hopeful that they will at Evo they will have a full fledged announcement because a lot of their announcements have been kind of short, in my opinion, and they need to come with a blockbuster announcement for this game because the competition's here now.
Oh
We
yeah.
know now Marvel Token Fighting Souls will be their competition, and they need to have updates consistently. They are Riot Games, major developer. So
Yes.
yeah, they really need to come with it now. There is no excuse because I believe that Marvel Token Fighting Souls has already announced more characters in one trailer than they did so far for Riot.
True.
For 2XKO.
Yeah. And yeah, it does kind of feel more like the slow burn rather than the big flashy announcement, which I mean Arxis is very good at that, and they also have the quality within their gameplay to make that hype last for a while. This is what Riot is going up against. I will
Yes.
say in defense of this, because I don't want to push it into the flop territory quite yet, because it's mostly because it's Riot. Like, surely they know what they're doing when they're making a fighting game. And even if it's not necessarily like the most celebrated thing, competitively speaking, we have to forget, like, oh, Mortal Kombat 1 tournaments are dropping off in terms of participation. Well, the game still sells really well. Like,
Right.
it's
Yes, for
going to
casuals.
sell, and they make money like hand over fist with Mortal Kombat, even if it's not necessarily something that we're looking at in terms of competitive fighting games. It's still introducing people to that space, and that is a good thing because that's the one thing that we have or don't have in the space of fighting games is a true casual audience, someone who is going to lock in and watch these tournaments and watch maestros like Punk or even masters of their own particular games like Sonic Fox, people like that to really concentrate on and focus in on and maybe 2XKO helps with that because it introduces people who are into League of Legends or into Wild Rift or into any of the other things, into what's it called, team fight tactics. People who are into that sort of thing get introduced via the League property, and now you have a fighting game surrounding that. All of a sudden, these people are watching 2XKO tournaments, and even if it's not necessarily the most technically adept of the fighting games, maybe if they're not doing the whole Arxis thing, they're still watching something that they find entertaining and something that they can digest, which feels like a little bit of the opposite of Arxis's playbook, especially if you're familiar with the history of the Guilty Gear franchise. Like there is potential to be tapped, not just in the casual market, but in the international market as well. Like this is going to be huge overseas, regardless of what we might think here in America.
Yeah, it will be. I think the international market it will be, but this is the main thing with Riot that I've not felt or want answered. What is their main goal with 2XKO? Is it to sell skins? Is it
Let's be
to
real, it's
have
skins.
great online play? Because if it's to sell skins, that's going to be a turnoff, especially for the American market. They
Sure.
want great gameplay. They want characters. They want them to support with tournaments, all of that. And another thing that they have said on their trailers and announcements about grassroots and being part of tournaments.
Yeah.
So that means that they are here for the long haul, they said. So having 10 characters on release is a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of people who are competitive because they said that they want to support the FGC. They
Right.
have said that in their trailers.
Yeah.
So they really, at Evo, have to have, in my opinion, a long form announcement release date. If they're coming out this year, which I'll be honest with you, Stu, I still think it's up in the air. We are now halfway through the year. If you're coming out this year, you need a rollout.
Yeah, and I do
You
I
need
do
it.
think that we have not heard the last from Riot. I do think that they're going to have a bigger presence at Evo than we can anticipate right now. This is just a hunch. I don't have any inside information, but I can imagine that 2XKO will be going for a knockout blow one way or
They have
another.
to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard this. Last night, Rick Tejado on a Evo reveal announcement hinted that there may be something with Marvel Tokon Souls, Fighting Souls at Evo. He said he could not confirm that. But imagine if there's a demo or there's some big announcement at Evo.
Yeah.
Following up what we just heard.
Yeah. No, that's they have
So
to they
Riot has no room to be comfortable.
absolutely right. No, the thing is, they have at least the war chest to go toe to toe, but it kind of makes you
Yes.
wonder. Yeah, no, it's
They need
that
to
capital
reconsider.
versus the
Yes.
experience. Yeah, you're right.
They have to rethink this because
You don't want to knuck up with Arxis when it comes to this stuff.
no,
Yeah,
no, you don't. You don't. And we learned, unfortunately, with multiverses, it's a different world now. You have to come out swinging. Just because you have the financial wherewithal, the fans still matter. And if they give
yeah,
a thumbs down and
yeah.
the internet,
Marvel
online,
learned that with
social community,
MVCI.
and VCI, yes,
Yeah,
you cannot
perception is
just say because
everything.
you're right. Yes, perception is everything. And there is so much competition out here now. You have to come out swinging, and that is what it is. The nice little, 5 to 6 minutes sit down with certain people. I don't want to name any names,
Sure,
but
sure.
they've got to come out swinging and go for it. They have the money. It's put up or shut up time. I'm not trying to be overly critical of Riot, but we saw just what happened with artists. They came out swinging for the fences.
I do think that we are going to see something at Evo from them. I only time will tell, obviously, but
It needs to be at Evo. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
need to be the week of Evo. It needs to be at Evo in the stadium, in my opinion.
yeah.
It needs to be leaving people dumbfounded.
I
It's
can
time.
I can see that I can see that potentially happening though is the whole thing. So
Okay.
I am
I
optimistic on
hope
that.
so.
But again, only time will tell. Nobody knows for sure. What I can say for sure, if they're gonna come out swinging, we're gonna go out swinging. It's time for our quick hits. BG, tell us what you got.
Yes, sir. I have a great announcement from a guy who has made a website concerning Street Fighter 6 called FightCenter.net. It gives you all of the information regarding Street Fighter 6 characters. documentaries on the game, combo guides, high level replays, tourney footage. I really appreciate somebody in the fighting game community doing this because we need more of this. So I want to give a shout out to the guy. His name is Seance FGC on Twitter. So
Yes.
please give him a shout out if you see it and follow that because, yes, that is something I really appreciate.
I love that. I've been begging for something like that in Tekken for quite some time, and Smash does a really good job of that, compiling like frame data and stuff like that. Glad that we have something, an even greater compendium of knowledge for Street Fighter. And weirdly enough, Street Fighter is the subject of my quick hit as well. Got to get my hands on. We were talking about things that you were playing on it that you might not necessarily or shouldn't necessarily play it on. Street Fighter 6 runs well on the Switch 2. I wound up getting my hands on a Switch 2. Have not bought Street Fighter 6 yet. Playing just a little bit of it and seeing footage of it. In fact, Riddle's playing a little bit of Street Fighter 6 on the Switch 2. It apparently runs pretty well. So, yeah, I'm not going to vouch for it being a part of tournament setups or anything like that. Obviously, you have that cake is already baked. But if you want a way to enjoy Street Fighter 6 on a console that you can just kind of carry around, maybe you want to practice some of those combos, you can connect the stick up to a Switch 2. I have that on Word, and I am going to try that in about 3 seconds because we are done with episode 36 of the Combat Report. BG, you got any last words for me? Go ahead, toss them out.
Hey, just keep it going on and let me know about that Switch too, since I am broke over here as a TO.
Yeah, we did really bad stuff to our credit scores yesterday. So I am going to go in the corner and think about that. But, folks, if you have not done so already, follow us on Twitter at CombatFGC. And you already see the socials down there, Combat_FGC on Instagram. I just completely forgot what that icon meant, apparently. But, of course, we're streaming, twitch.tv/combat series. So BG and Stu from the CCS crew signing out. This has been the Combat Report.